Welcome to this evangelistic channel. Jesus Christ is Lord and He wants to set you free. Here, we expose the frauds and all those who work to mislead and manipulate God's people. Please share this video and let people know that all the lies and games must come to an end in Jesus' name.
Snow Queens, Sister Celestial's fairy tale prophecy.
Snow Queens. Snow Queens. They are deadly and malicious, and they kill people, and they kill people, and they kill people. And by this time, I know that everyone is going, frozen, 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 frozen. Snow Queens. The Lord said that this refers to female giants and other female beings of the same caliber as the ice giants that I've spoken of. It also refers to demonic female creatures and devils that have a human form. I don't have much information on them except that he listed them under ice giants, and he showed me some pictures to understand what he meant. So the first thing I saw was this same icy witch from, I think it's the C.S. Lewis series of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where there's this evil witch character that can make people so cold-hearted. So there is female seduction and female spells that can freeze the heart and the empathy and the kindness of the human heart. And by this time, I know that everyone is going frozen, frozen, because indeed this was something else that he showed me, that these women will be exactly like that young lady that Disney marketed to people's children, having the power to freeze hearts and to hit the heart with a power that can actually cause people to die. The verse he gave me for this is this, and I'm sure you will think about this verse in a different way when you hear it. Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. Matthew 24:12. I've shared often that when we read these scriptures, we just think, oh, God must mean the wickedness of my neighbor next door, or he must mean the wickedness of those who are in government or the leaders or the mayor. The Lord often is giving us a duality of truth. Yes, he is talking about wickedness that is going to happen on the human level, but there is high wickedness in the high places, rulers of darkness that are also going to be able to get this same result out of the human heart. And so demonic seduction will be a powerful weapon of the end times Satanists. These are words that will be spoken with spells, with magic, or with something called the power of persuasion. So as the Lord was speaking to me about these snow queens, I saw a platinum blonde woman dressed almost exactly in Ilse's dress, except that hers was a much more mature cut. So it wasn't that poofy princess sleeves and anything like that. This was very sophisticated with a cape at the back, and she had a gold crown that ended in little balls. So it's very rare that you see that type of crown. That is an old world crown from the elf kingdom. Just based on what I've read, she was wearing a very high gold spiky crown, and each part of the crown had a solid gold ball at the end. She was extremely pale. This woman passed, she was almost as white as this prayer shawl that I'm wearing. Extremely pale and bloodless woman with red lips and a very evil and angry expression. And her gown seemed to be made of ice and snowflakes. And she was very angry, and she pointed her finger at a human being who was also dressed in ancient clothes. So it was as if the Lord was showing me a picture of something that happened long ago. She pointed her finger at a man who was just dressed like a common man, a common villager, and a long beam of crackling blue light came out of this woman's finger and hit this man right in the chest. It hit him in the chest and he froze and he became a pillar of ice. Again, if you've read any of these so-called fantasy, the true fantasy, not this mishmash that passes for fantasy novels now. Now people are just writing to get a Netflix series or to make a quick buck. Nothing wrong in that, but they're not writing what the old writers used to write. And in this prophecy, I shared that as a child, I greatly gravitated to these types of books. I was drawn to them almost as soon as I had understanding of what was happening in them. Anything with dragons, anything with goblins, anything with trolls, anything where the world would open up and you could go under the roots of a tree into another world. I was extremely taken with this. And the Lord never interrupted this reading, even into my adulthood, even until I was born again. He never interrupted this writing. And only when he began to speak to me of these things, I put those books away, then understanding. But by that time, it was almost as if he was saying, Celestial, all that information that you read about Zeus and Mount Olympus and Romus and Romulus, the twins that apparently were born and raised of a wolf, all that information I allowed to form a sort of database in you, because I knew that the day would come when I would simply show up and tell you, all that stuff is history. It's not mythology. And so I saw this woman, and she froze this person to death on the spot. And if you read the old good fantasy, which is almost impossible to find now, you will find stories of people being turned into wood. You will find stories of people being turned into stone. You will find stories of people turned into ice. And this is what happened to this man. He didn't turn into physical ice. His body, every cell in him, all the liquid in him, solidified him into a dead, frozen monument. And I knew, looking at this man, surprised and hit by this bolt, I knew that this man was dead. So she did not send to him a strike whereby someone could come and kiss him and wake him up. This man was dead. I knew, looking at him, that this man has been frozen. In that vision, I saw that summer came, and this frozen man, this frozen human ice block, began to melt, and he melted very slowly. So the ice on the trees and the ice in the lake and the ice on the grass and everything else melted according to the heat of the sun. But this man melted so slowly, drop by drop, that eventually when he defrosted, he fell to the ground looking as if he was still alive. The blood was still in his cheeks. He looked as fresh as a daisy, but he was extremely dead. And that is exactly the process that froze the ice giants, except they were frozen in a way that they will defrost normally and come out alive. This that I have described to you is the power of the entity that the Lord called Snow Queen, which will return to earth, which will return to earth, which will return to earth.